What are we talking about today?
Truck campers.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, the kind of the camper, the RV that slides into the back of your pickup truck. It doesn't have its own wheels.
The one that everybody says, what is that and how do you tow it?
Oh, there's so many questions about truck campers.
I know, but what's the biggest one?
Why?
Okay. That's true.
Depends on who you ask.
Why a truck camper and why are they so expensive? And really, how do you fit in a truck? So many truck camper questions. Right. Is that what we're talking about today?
That's what we're talking about, and maybe a little bit of the who too.
Maybe the who.
I think we should totally cover weight.
Oh, Cody.
Wait. Let's talk about this. All right, well, get us started, Clint.
Welcome to the RV Small Talk podcast, where we talk about lightweight trailers and truck campers and the people, places, and adventures that go right along with them. We're your hosts from Princess Craft RV. I'm Clint.
I'm PJ.
And I'm Cody.
What a letdown.
I know.
How is that a letdown?
Because Lindsay always says something cute like, and I'm tired of being here.
Say something cute right now.
And I'm absolutely adorable. Or
mic drop, I'm out of here. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Cody is our, I don't know, what is your title now?
Resident fill-in.
He is like me, a little of everything some days.
Yeah.
But you have a title, right?
Some days.
Okay. What is your official job?
Operations director.
Oh, that sounds so important. Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
It means that I'm a catch-all.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay.
He's a big Band-Aid that walks around sticking to things. It's kind of gross.
It pretty much is fixed op overall plus whatever else physical that we need, like buildings and land and operations.
When Cody kind of stepped into that role, because he's been many roles here, but when we kind of stepped into that role, the type of decisions that suddenly showed up, they're like, hey, that's perfect for someone in that role. It's like,
well, and I think
Cody.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
It was huge for me because the things that people don't think about, you have somebody in charge of sales, somebody in charge of service. But what happens when I need 3 electric gates put in?
Yeah.
Or what happens when we have a hailstorm and we have 310 damaged units?
Not even a little damage, like a lot of damage.
Baseball size damage.
Yeah, so that has been kind of part of your job for a long time. But I mean, just all kinds of things that need attention. Mm-hmm. And then, overseeing the areas that you've been in for decades, which is parts and service. More than a decade.
Yeah.
More than a decade, but not plural decades yet.
Okay.
When you hear that, do you feel kind of like Grandpa?
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So some of those units that were damaged were truck campers.
Oh, yeah. We're talking about truck campers. Y'all still here with us talking about truck campers?
Everybody likes dimples. They think they're cute.
That's right.
Not everybody.
No, not everyone.
Not everybody.
Only on golf balls.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you know why they have dimples in golf balls and why they've attempted to dimple like baseball bats and all that through the years?
Do you know why we have an RV podcast?
Well,
to talk about golf balls.
It's RV small talk. I'm leaning heavily on small talk right now.
Airflow around the object.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
It actually
does it go faster?
Yeah, and it changes the dynamics. It's my understanding is dimples causes more surface area, which means that as a smooth surface, of course, the air has to get out around it fast. Well, that's why airfoils work for wings. But if you have even more surface area, then it decreases the pressure even more around that shape because it has more surface area to get over more quickly.
Well, if it's all about surface area, then why don't the dimples go out instead of in?
Maybe it has something with areas of decreased pressure versus like friction. I don't know. I'm not into. I don't know.
What you're telling me is that if a unit has hail damage, it should have less wind drag.
Yes, that is my understanding.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
I wouldn't quote me on it, but I'm sure there's going to be a transcript of this
He
episode.
just quoted you on it. There you go. So reduce your wind drag, folks, and drive through a hailstorm.
That's right. Or just on a whim, just drive back and forth across a driving range.
You think
Do
that'll
it
work?
for you.
Well, that's kind of what some of our units look like.
Yeah.
Anyway, Cody's job is pretty
get
much
your
whatever we need.
Phone off the table. That translates to the microphones.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're training him up
Operations
here
manager.
on the podcast things.
Okay, so PJ, you had this idea that we could find just a whole bunch of people that are famous people, like actors, actresses, politicians, and what have you, that had truck campers through the years and may currently still have truck campers. And we found exactly not many.
Yeah, why is that?
I think it's the same reason why it's a niche part of the RVing community in general. It's very, very, very nichey.
Well, to be fair, we didn't ask our friends Gordon and Angela at Truck Camper Magazine. So if you guys know of famous truck camper people that maybe we're not aware of, I hope you will point that out to us so we can bring it up in our next podcast. Why we didn't ask beforehand, but I bet they know people.
Yeah, but we found a few.
We did find a few. And
Go for it.
The most famous one that I'm aware of is Steve McQueen had a very famous truck camper. And, well, I don't know if the truck camper was actually famous, but
It became famous because it was his.
he was famous for having it.
Right.
And it actually went up for auction in the last 5 years. I can't remember exactly when.
Right.
I was so tempted.
Yeah.
So tempted.
Did you have that kind of coin? Because I think it went for a lot of
Do you
money.
know how much?
I don't know how much.
Okay,
but
well-
I'll look it up. Y'all talk about the next one.
Somebody
because
has to look that up because I didn't think it went for all that much. And then I was really frustrated that I didn't jump in and buy it. Because how cool would it be to have Steve McQueen's truck camper here? I mean, I think that would be super cool.
That would be cool.
He was a unique human and he had that kind of persona of being, the cool, rough guy, the real macho guy. I mean, it fits perfectly with the truck camper, right?
I think I need to look this person up. I don't actually.
You don't know Steve McQueen?
What?
How do you not know Steve McQueen?
I mean, maybe I do. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. I know Lightning.
He's the reason Lightning McQueen was named Lightning McQueen. But he's also he was kind of the edgy soul. Have you ever seen the movie The Great Escape? Yeah, how did you grow up?
The Great Escape.
The Great Escape. It's a
man.
POW movie from
Definite. Probably not then.
from World War II.
No.
I mean, it was depicting World War II.
The world has failed you. All right.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Paul Newman. Do you know who Paul Newman is?
Yeah, he has,
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, because he has salad dressing.
What? He
has
said the
salad
name
dressing.
sounds familiar. What?
Yes.
Paul Newman?
Yeah, the name sounds familiar.
Paul Newman. Oh, come on. I mean, I don't even know what
Can
to
we
say.
jump into my era?
I am speechless. Well, then
Clint is obviously full of useless information.
Oh, it's true. It's
Yeah.
true. I got so much for you.
No, but I mean, it's kind of like knowing Marilyn Monroe.
Well, I know that name and that person.
So
Not personally,
yeah.
but I know who that is.
Yeah, well, yeah, it would be really, really odd if you did, since you weren't alive at the same time. But
Was I alive when Steve McQueen was?
yes,
Oh, well,
yes,
I
you
guess
were.
that didn't work.
Yeah, that didn't work. You just weren't educated in classics. And,
You would
Yeah.
appreciate The Great Escape.
well, there's
I'll
so
have to
many
check
things.
it
The
out.
Color of Money.
Yeah.
I mean, all kinds of things.
And he raced
So-
enduro motorcycle stuff, against the better judgment of all the movie theaters who didn't want him to get injured and all that.
There was no celebrity insurance back then. I just bet. Okay, so
They are not forthcoming on what it actually sold for at auction. The asking price was $115,000. And so what it was Steve McQueen's 1952 Chevrolet 3800 pickup truck with a custom aluminum truck camper. So, I mean,
Oh, it was the truck and the camper.
yeah. Oh,
Cool.
The original movie Bullet.
Wow.
well,
That's a good one.
The movies move slower.
Speaking of someone that moves slower and also had a truck camper.
Wilford Brimley. Do you know who that is?
Nope.
He's the man.
Oh, Cody. Why did we invite Cody again?
I was asked to do this. I'm a catch-all.
Cody, he's the actor who got on for your diabetes medication and all that on the commercial. Says, if you need to treat your diabetes. Diabetes. That's him.
I feel like that is not very PC of us to talk about diabetes.
Oh no, he
was
fine.
He just had that. He had that country boy.
Yeah, very much so.
Conversation, and he always played the sheriff in the town, and it was going to just get it done.
I know that guy. I mean, yeah.
That's the
I
persona.
never looked at names of
That's
people.
Okay.
Okay.
That is okay. So Wilford Brimley was a spokesperson for Lance early on.
Sure.
Which,
cool.
Yeah. If you look that up, you can even see his commercials on your phone. That he did in his promos. And you know what? He was just a well-known, down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
Not as cool as Steve McQueen. Never. Not cool at all, but really a well-respected human who played the part of that country boy who was going to do the right thing.
Yeah, TV shows and movies. Yeah. So Ryan Bingham. So that's a name associated with Yellowstone, right?
Yellowstone. Now that's where it's amazing that you have not heard of that.
No, I have not watched any Yellowstones.
I haven't either.
Really?
I haven't.
Wow.
You may forget.
Folks, I am here with the culturally deprived.
Well, you may recall that I haven't had cable or satellite as an adult anywhere. I also don't have. I'm also not paying for streaming services. So
you also are just one of those unique humans who disconnected in that way from the media. And
yet I work in marketing.
Yes.
That's why you've disconnected.
But you have everything on your phone and computer.
I do.
So, I mean, it's you're well informed, but not your thing. But at any rate, when we're talking about famous people, we kind of went to the movies and the people like that you might know.
Right.
And Ryan Bingham in Yellowstone is, a little bit of the defiant rodeo.
Sure.
Rough around the edges character.
But that makes so much sense for truck campers.
Yeah.
It's like the history all wrapped up.
And there are actually several people who have truck campers on Yellowstone. And it's kind of a common thing it is part of the horse business.
Really the rodeo scene in general.
Yes, because if you have to tow a horse trailer, then a truck camper makes sense. You have a place to stay.
Yeah.
If you're just going for the weekend, and Princess Craft started out doing rodeo campers. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, I know that.
You know that,
Cody,
but
do you know
I don't
that?
know if a lot of people know that.
You know what? That is something so far that I do know.
Oh. And what on the market looks like what Princess Craft used to make?
The Capri.
That's right.
That's right. Capri was our competitor. And
they won.
So glad. Yeah, they did, because we quit. We said, oh, not doing this. And Capri struggled for a lot of years, but they have new owners. And a plug for Capri campers. They are...
Those are actually fantastic campers.
Yes.
I like
for
them.
what they are, they do exceptionally well.
Yes.
And with the new owners there, I haven't met them. I intend to. Mm-hmm. I hope to. They do a great job now, and glad to see them doing so well.
When the Austin Rodeo was going on, when it was rodeo season here in Austin in Texas, I think I was texting you every day how many Capri campers I saw on the road each day.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I was getting those as well.
It was like one day it was like 3, another day it was 2, and it's because they belong with that scene, and that scene is very much alive in early spring.
Well, and we should talk about the comparisons between a Capri rodeo camper and, say, a Host triple slide camper.
We
can talk about that later. We have 2 more people that you put on our list because they are just ultra famous people who have earth roamers. And earth roamers are kind of the
debatable, right?
Truck with the big built-in behind it. So it's not detachable, but it is similar. It is kind of a cross between a motorhome and a truck camper.
It's an adventure vehicle.
Yeah, so back in the day, Steve McQueen would have been like that top A-list tier actor. and he would have been really stand out for being in a truck camper. Whereas these two next guys, they're top A-list in whatever circle they run in, and they're close to a true truck camper.
They're close
Experience.
So anyway.
So we included them just to bring them up.
Because John Mayer has an Earth Roamer, and Jason Momoa has
Don't know
an
who
Earth
that
Roamer.
is.
You really don't?
No, I definitely do, but it's hilarious to say I don't.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a jab. I
Because
think
you
that's
don't?
a jab. No, I know who John Mayer and Jason Momoa are.
All right. We are making progress.
That's right.
I mean, if you've
There is
been in
progress
if
here.
you've been in like a Marvel or DC film, I probably know who you are. I mean,
Okay. Well,
Well, now we've
to
just
say.
learned something
that's
about Cody.
Momoa. Yeah.
Yeah.
But John Mayer hasn't been in a superhero movie.
no, but I know who he is.
Has he been like the soundtrack of your life?
Whoa, no.
No. Back it up.
Does Cody walk around singing "Your Body Is a Wonderland"?
Oh,
Sometimes.
geez. This is a family show. Is it a family show? I don't know.
I mean, who's listening? I'll be able to tell you. If
Is your family listening?
Let's be real. Y'all drink wine on here sometimes. I'm not sure how
that's
family
true.
that is.
We're not a family
Just
show.
saying.
All right, let's move on from famous people.
So, but when we're talking about truck campers, what do you think the number one question is?
I think the big thing is when you see people see them on a sales lot next to everything else. Why does it cost so much?
Yeah.
That's true.
It doesn't even have an axle. You have to provide your own.
Do you know how cheap axles are?
Yeah, I mean, they can be. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that that's usually the most common thing I hear. People are like, oh, how much is one of those? And you give them,
And
they're like, why?
yeah.
Well,
It doesn't
I will,
make sense.
I
to
will
them.
tell you, because we are famous for truck campers, selling truck campers because we carry so many different kinds. We're always amazed when people walk in and say, yeah, I came to shop for a truck camper. We have to ask them specific questions.
Yes.
And the biggest question we have to ask right off the bat is, why do you want a truck camper?
Yeah.
And if they can't answer it, or if their answer is just ludicrous, like, well, I just want something small and inexpensive, then we know we have
up,
to back up
back
and
up.
regroup.
Yeah.
But that is the first thing that people think of when they think, hey, I want something that doesn't cost much. I've got an F-150. Maybe I'll just get a truck camper. Well,
Yeah.
if you're getting a basic rodeo camper, maybe that's true.
Yeah. And I think the phrase that you've used before, at least in my presence, is they're the most expensive
Real
RV,
estate.
Yeah, real estate by segment, by RV segment, by square foot.
Yeah, I mean, barring a $3 million motorhome.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. If you say categorically, you could generally say they're more expensive.
Absolutely, per square foot than most of what's out there.
But why?
Well, I think there's a couple of reasons. What is the most expensive part of a trailer? Is it going to be the walls, the actual wallboard? Is it going to be the framing? Is it going to be the flooring? No. It's going to be all of the electronics, all of the gear, all the appliances. It is going to be all of the equipment that's on it. That's the most expensive.
Well, I think about
Engineering.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe the engineering and the development, because there's a whole nother set of factors.
I think that is another piece to it. But the biggest factor is all of the expensive things you have to buy that go into it are in a trailer as well.
Well, I was wondering that when you're saying it is because really the thing that comes to mind that truck campers have that standard RVs don't have is jacks.
There's actually more equipment. Okay, let's back it up. You've got all the basic stuff. You've got a bathroom, you've got a toilet, you've got a shower, you've got you can have an oven, you can have a microwave, a stove, a sink, but then you've also got an air conditioner, a furnace, a converter to convert the 110 power to the 12 volt.
Right.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So far, I'm picturing a standard RV.
Yeah, so that is all the same as a standard RV. The rest of it is the build. So when you go to the second piece of it, which is building it, is it easier to build a square house than one with all of the dormers and all of
That's what I believe is the bigger
the jagged
part.
fronts?
Yeah.
I don't think it's
the engineering, I mean, you have so many different stressed members. You have a balance issue that you have to work around that's different than trailers. Plus, they don't build as many of these things, so it's a little bit. I mean, anything that's niche-y or that isn't built in higher quantities. I mean,
so we're talking about two different things. I'm talking about why are they the same? You're talking about why they're different.
Oh, I thought you started with why they're different, and I said, but that sounds like they're the same.
Why are they more expensive?
Cody.
I'm just watching. This is fun. I'm just watching y'all go at it.
We were talking about, okay. For those of you that are still listening, I am going to recap that.
PJ, you're doing great. I'm just.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I am bouncing off the wall here. But if you talk about
coffee, actually decaf.
I know. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I know. It's thank you to you guys, right? Make your life easier.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at how expensive the real estate is, people think they should be cheaper.
Right.
And my point was they have all the same equipment in them that a big old 25 footer has.
But to make it fit and to make it work,
you have to figure out how to engineer all of that.
It's a more difficult puzzle.
So it costs the same except for more.
Right.
Because having the more floor space or wall space isn't expensive at all.
Right.
It is engineering it to fit all this stuff in a tiny space and balance it on a truck. And it has all of those edges that have to be included to fit in the bed of a truck.
Sure.
Whereas building a trailer is just a square box.
We've seen washers and dryers, fireplaces, heated floors, and I mean, just incredible things in truck campers. All the same stuff that you would see in large trailers, even fifth wheels. But to make it work and work right and work safely takes more engineering. It's harder to squeeze it in. And I think another component is it actually takes more time to build a truck camper. Really, partially the fit.
And it's not flat walls. You don't have a frame that you just staple the walls and the ceiling to. You have to build the bottom, and then it has to come up. And then we have what we call wings that stick out over the side of the top of the truck bed and then come up. And they have to be fully cantilevered and supported. And then you have the front of it that has to stick way out over the front of the truck cab.
Right.
And that has to be supported.
And not separate when you're going down some crazy bumps.
That's right. And then they're meant to go like all over crazy terrain. So it's kind of interesting.
Very robust campers.
And it has to have tie down points. It has to be solid. I mean, I know that is evident in our shop. And Cody, one of the reasons we wanted you here is because you work on a lot of truck campers in the shop.
Yeah.
And so you know more than anybody about the equipment, the struggles, because building it has got to be just as difficult as fixing it.
I've seen him partially rebuild, take it down to, things down to studs and things like people have, misjudged low clearance bridges and crossings and trees and all that. So I've seen things come in, and I've seen Cody go really deep into the walls, into the roof, into, slide outs and all on these things.
So what's the difference in working on a truck camper than working on a trailer? Is it really that much harder?
Working on them, it's tighter spaces. As far as the process of working on them, though, it's pretty much the same. If you got to work on a slide, it's a slide. But the space is really where it gets hard, because it is a tighter area.
Everywhere. The whole thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about one of the things that I see is that when a truck camper has a physical issue, like water damage or some type of deterioration, or they ran into something, it seems to be exponentially more expensive to fix.
Well, I think that's due to the engineering and the things that we have to fix on them. It's more time consuming, which is when we talk about repairs, it's generally labor heavy because of the extent of it. So that's where it runs into being more expensive, is because it is more labor intensive. I don't think it makes it more difficult, just makes it take longer.
Fair.
Because it's not a straight wall. Or
Correct.
because it has to be supported.
Or because, like, if you rebuild a bed in a truck camper, you're essentially dropping out the entire, what we call the cab over area to rebuild a bed, because it's all part of the floor of that area.
Right.
Versus in a trailer, it's framework and you just rebuild it. So it's the way it's built.
Yeah.
I know a lot of service shops don't work on truck campers.
They're afraid of them.
Why?
They don't understand jack legs.
What?
Is that really the bigger one? One of the bigger things is
that
just
is
jack
a lot
legs?
of it. They are afraid of the jack legs. They are afraid that it's going to fall over.
Is that a myth? Or
I believe
mean,
it though.
seriously?
I believe that's a fear out there,
I think it's a legitimate fear.
because it's happened 5 times in all of human history. Therefore, it's.
I saw it on the internet. It has to be true.
I bet you it's happened more than 5 times.
I'm sure it has.
I mean, so if we're talking about the jack legs, right?
Right.
And a truck camper requires balance, unlike a
Yes.
trailer.
Yep.
So you've got a large overhanging cab area that, if you don't watch your weights, your nose gets too low, it will tip over. You're setting it off balance.
Okay. I know that that's true. Okay.
It is true.
Of course it's true. However, you really have to get seriously off balance for truck campers to fall over.
You do. You got to be
Right?
pretty
Right.
like not paying attention.
You got to be like doing something like 2 feet off.
It takes a lot. It does.
So I think the general fear is if you don't balance it just right, it's going to fall
Correct.
over.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
they don't teeter over.
They don't teeter over.
This is not an unstable thing.
Correct.
I mean, if you cut off a table leg and you cut 2 feet off a corner of a table leg, chances are that table can tip. Right?
Yeah, if you put pressure in the wrong place, it may stand until pressure or wind or something like that.
Oh, it's just, I think people are much more worried than they need to be.
Sure.
They're like, oh, I'm so worried. And people are worried to crawl up on the bed cab over part. They're like, okay, it's going to tip over.
Yeah.
And I and like, no, it's not going to
It's not
tip
gonna
over.
tip.
It's
It would
not
have
going
to
to tip
be
over.
a super obvious
Like,
off balancing of the
really
unit.
serious. Like
Yeah.
we're talking 2 to 3 feet.
We absolutely
Leaning 2 to 3 feet
Yeah.
in one direction.
correct.
So would you say, because it's easy enough to go do a Google search for images of tipped truck campers, easy enough.
Sure.
You can find them.
Well,
Yep.
because it's interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's a, oh my gosh.
But would we feel pretty confident in saying likely an egregious user error involved?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Feel
Cody
like
said it. He's pretty confident.
Okay. All right. So the next question, because you don't just hitch up to them and scoot on down the road, you gotta line up and back up and lower and all. How difficult to load and unload are truck campers?
Good question. And I believe, backing up as we're so great at doing on this podcast, I think that's the reason that a lot of service centers are afraid of them. They don't know how to move them around and how to load them up.
They don't know if their shop trucks can handle
and
it.
so they're like, we can't just hook onto it and drag it into our shop. So they don't want to sell them, and then they don't want to fix them. They don't know how to do that, and they don't know how to manage tie downs. They don't know what to do to hook it up to a truck.
So they
They're
feel
just
ill-equipped.
unfamiliar.
That is definitely a learned
just
area.
unfamiliar.
Definitely a learned area.
But is it difficult?
But loading and unloading a truck camper is not difficult.
It is kind of the same as loading and unloading a fifth wheel, and people do it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to learn, go here, put that there, and hook this up here.
I find it harder to get lined up with the tow ball sometimes than
Right.
I know. It is just one of those fears that's kind of unfounded.
Right. But since truck campers are largely unfamiliar to so many people, I mean, aside from seeing a few in the 80s when I was growing up and they all looked like Capri campers, you know, grandpa's truck camper sort of thing, I don't recall them really making an impression in my mind until I met Princess Craft RV, where you had a bunch of them.
I'm in the same boat. I didn't even think I knew they existed until I started here.
So
I'm so glad I could enlighten you folks.
and now it's part of our existence.
That's right.
So I think it's part of it is they are an unwieldy looking device that you somehow put in your back of your truck, and they look massive because they overhang the cab, so many of them, and they're so much taller. I think that part of it is this vision that we get. That is a weird, wonky, unbalanced, weird shape, and it looks heavy.
Well, as far as loading it, I think, yes, it is like anything else in the RV business. It's a learned skill.
Yeah.
I teach a lot of backup classes, and I have to start out by telling everybody, do you remember when you started driving a car forward? Do you remember that you didn't know everything about it? It was scary trying to stay in the lane. Is that car going to hit you? You have to remember what everything means. You have to remember how to use all the turn signals and the gears and all of these things to remember.
Right.
It took a while to become a good driver, right?
Seems like, yeah. I'm still working on
Not
it.
for me.
Yeah, of course. You're magical. But it takes a while to learn to back up and hook up a trailer.
Yeah.
It takes a while to learn how, when you're hooked up, how to back up a trailer.
Yeah.
And it takes a little while to learn how to load a truck camper. Right?
It does.
Same thing.
Yep.
But guess what? Once you're loaded, you don't have to learn how to back up, because it's the same as your vehicle. You already know that.
Right.
But you have to practice a couple of times. Like anything else, after 2 or 3 times of doing it, it will become an easier part of your skill set.
Right.
And after you do it regularly for a year or two, you're not even going to think about it.
Yeah.
Like anything else that we do, it is a learned skill, but it's not a hard skill.
Yeah.
There is nothing hard about it. Learning to drive a car is a lot harder than loading a truck camper. And every single person out there almost has learned how to do that.
Almost.
Right? Almost. I'm sure, because we'll get comments down there that say, well, I never learned how to drive. And lots of people
Have you driven down I-35 lately?
I know. I didn't say they got to, they were good at it. I didn't say they were good at it.
There are levels of proficiency.
That's true.
But there is a level of patience you have to learn the skill
That's true.
of hooking up. And once you do that, it's really easy. I can load a truck camper. For those of you who think I'm just making this up,
I didn't even have to beep that. Like,
Right? She caught herself.
usually I put in a
caught
little
herself.
motorcycle horn when Lindsay does it, but she just professional.
Nice.
Oh gosh. So I can load a truck camper with electric jacks in 10 to 15 minutes. And that is the biggest truck camper that's out there.
Yep.
It's just not that hard. And the better gear you have, they make better gear that's faster.
Faster jacks.
Yep.
Faster jacks, and you can have turnbuckles that are fast guns.
Right.
Then you can load a truck camper really quickly.
I agree with that.
And you can unload it in half that time. And most of it's just pushing buttons.
That's right.
You know, I used to drive my husband's semi-truck and everybody was amazed. And I'm like, I don't understand, because it's power steering and there's a power seat.
Yeah.
It's just bigger.
Yeah.
And they said, but you're only 5 feet tall. And I'm like, what does that have to do with it?
Yeah. People equate the human physical size with their intimidation level.
Yes, I promise
true.
you, I am not pushing it down the road.
Yeah. And that's the
I
same
am
sort of thing.
simply turning the button and
I see
driving
a Chihuahua, and it's not always as intimidated as a larger dog.
So it isn't, and it should be. But,
right?
So at any rate, loading and unloading a truck camper is really very simple to do. You basically back under it, drop it down in the bed, and then you put a hook on the top and a hook on the gear that's on your truck, and you tighten it down, and that's it. That is literally the sum total of it. So I realize I'm simplifying it, but it's something that I think stops people from truck campering. And it's such a shame. Truck campers are so awesome.
I agree.
So where can you and can't you use a truck camper?
Anywhere you want.
Careful.
Seriously?
Careful.
Oh,
There are some parks that have some camper restrictions.
Hoity-toity parks. But let's talk about why.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, this is why I asked the question, because the why.
Yeah, I think this goes back to talking about like shops not knowing how to move them, load them, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
people heard some stories.
They don't know what they are.
Right.
Well, if you drop it and you leave it there, they can't move it
They don't
easily.
know what to do with it. Yeah.
They can't call a wrecker and have it towed off. Although we have
Wreckers are actually getting pretty good at it.
we have had wreckers show up here and strap onto it and drag it up onto their bed and off it goes.
Yeah.
So it can be done with a wrecker.
But we have heard on a number of occasions
Yes.
that there are RV resorts in particular, or RV parks, but RV resorts, they put resort and it means better somehow.
It means more expensive.
Yep. More expensive.
And they'll find out that you're planning to arrive in a truck camper. And they're like, yeah, we don't accept your kind here.
So why do you think that is?
I feel like there's, other than the fear of what happens, we don't know how to work on it if it gets left here or your vehicle breaks down, other than those issues, which I think are okay, fine, kind of real to them. Mm-hmm. But I think that they're afraid of what it will look across their clientele, because it's kind of like RV resorts are kind of like their own de facto HOAs, and they want a certain look. And although these things are extremely expensive per square foot, as we said, people, I think, don't kind of look down. It's like the clamp. It's moved into your RV resort.
Do you think that?
I'm afraid that's part of it. I think it's judging.
Yeah. Do you think that there is still a reputation that truck campers are grandpa's camper, and they are the low life that have truck campers?
I unfortunately think that there's an aspect of that out there.
Huh. Interesting.
Which is funny because we sell Host and Lance and Northern
we have truck
Light,
campers at over $100,000.
and they are nice.
They are real nice.
And it is theater seating. It is nice wraparound booths.
Yeah.
It is king size beds.
Fireplaces.
Yes.
Got washers and dryers in them.
Granite style countertops.
Ducted heat. Ducted air.
Basement storage.
How do I get one of these?
You had one of these.
Oh, that's right. I did have one.
It is. They make absolutely beautiful truck campers.
Yeah. So I think it's between those two things that we mentioned on they don't know what to do because they don't understand them as equipment. And I think it's partially this judging like thing. And maybe maybe a third thing is because of those other two, they're wondering about what it means for their insurance, maybe? You think that might come to like...
On an RV resort?
I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of some other tertiary reason that they would...
I don't know. That would surprise me.
I'm kind of liking your view on it, that maybe they're this view, but maybe they don't know what they are, and so they're thinking Capri rodeo camping. They're like, no way, man.
I don't need a rodeo clown here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you pull up a 10-year-old StarCraft trailer, it can look a whole lot worse than any truck camper.
Yeah, but there are RV
age restrictions.
Yeah, RV resorts out there won't let you have an RV older than 5 years.
Some of them. Some of them go 10.
Do you know what some of these trade-ins look like that are 5 years old that we get?
They stopped being allowed in RV parks.
That's why they get rid. That's why they trade them off.
Yeah,
I can't get to the park anymore.
I mean, we have somewhere I'm like, oh my gosh, you still owe what on this thing?
Okay, got another question.
Okay,
what are truck campers missing capability-wise?
What can they not do?
They're missing 4 wheels or 2 wheels. I mean, depending on what you get, but
you can't push them around so easy.
Yeah,
you can't drag them around so easy. But what capability-wise, from an RV standpoint, what do truck campers not have?
One of the things that I think is limited by truck campers, and there are ways around this to some degree, but they don't sleep as many people.
Oftentimes, yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's very difficult to sleep 8 people in a truck camper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
However, we know the O'Shaughnessy's.
yes. Well, we love the O'Shaughnessy's, by the way.
We do.
So,
I'm pretty sure they're going to listen to this one.
well, I don't know.
They probably will.
Love y'all.
But Lance has made a few that slept 7.
Yeah.
They had tip outs on the back that folded out to be a bed.
Oh,
and
beds
then you
over the
had
dinette.
I missed that.
a bunk over the dinette.
And the dinette.
And a dinette turned into a double bed.
Right.
And then the 2 in the front. I mean, there have been truck campers that slept families.
Yes.
And the people that had them really love them.
Yes.
However, it is not a large enough slice to keep those types of campers going. I would love to hear from Truck Camper Magazine to see if there were family campers that would sleep more than 4 people
Right.
well.
Right.
I mean, are there campers out there? I should know, but I can't think of any right
I can't
now
think of anything that's in production.
on the market that sleeps 6 or more people.
Right.
So I think that's one of the things that truck campers just have a hard time covering in the RV market, because this is a family industry.
And the only other thing I can think of is if you're used to a trailer that's what, 18 foot or larger, then the only different, then you're just talking about having more space to maneuver in.
Right.
Because they can have, like we've already talked about, all of the same luxuries, all of the same equipment, possibly even more water carrying capacity.
Generally.
However, if you just want space, then the truck camper format is not going to be as big once you get to the, I say, mid-sized trailer and beyond.
Well, I will tell you that I could dance in some of the truck campers out there, but I could not dance with you in some of the truck campers out there because
I'm bouncy when I dance and I hit my head.
and we need some space.
And I take my
for those
stride.
of you that don't know, Clint is a crazy
He's a Sasquatch.
He is a crazy active swing dancer. So, for lack of a better word, so we can take up some space when the music is played.
Picture Gumby on crack.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's a very good description. All right. We'll have links to videos.
Gumby on crack.
We will put some videos if you guys have an imagination going wild and you have nothing better to do. We will put a link in the notes,
Oh, man.
which might be,
Fine footage.
To Gumby on crack.
That's right.
but I don't know how quickly the descriptions will show up in this one. But at any rate, we'll have it there. That's one of the things that they don't do very well in truck campers is have all that space.
Okay. What about this question? Are they safe?
Absolutely.
I think we covered that.
No, people are worried about them tipping over.
And driving? Are they safe
Right,
driving?
we talked about that, but they're safe.
But
We've
even on the
covered that.
truck, they expect this to go down the road and be wobbling back and forth.
Yeah.
And
that's going to sound great on the podcast. Keep going.
but that is the fear and that is the expectation. They're like, oh, it's so tall. Are we going to tip over?
Yeah.
Geez Louise, it's not any taller than a fifth wheel. It's not any taller than anything else.
You're
but
right.
people are expecting truck campers to tip over
They
because
look
they
taller
don't have
because
a
they have a
giant
shorter
footprint.
wheelbase. I think that there's a lot of perspective.
Wait, how does
going
a
on.
truck camper have a wheelbase?
Your truck.
You're counting it as a unit, sir.
Jeez.
Sir.
A eunuch?
Unit. No. That means somehow less.
I am just trying to follow here.
Oh no. Let's move on from that question. Are truck campers easy?
Wait. No. Do they tip? Let's talk about this tipping.
So-
is this like cow tipping?
I will tell you,
Snipe hunting.
it is a very rare occurrence, but we have had to do repairs for tipped over while on the truck.
Now you're just scaring everybody.
But
Not my intention. The customer was doing something they should not have been
we
doing.
have done
Like
repairs.
driving at a serious
Angle.
We have done repairs on trailers that were towed with the wrong tow vehicle, got hit by a crosswind or 18-wheeler past them, and they fishtailed and the trailer rolled over.
Or they
I
just
mean,
simply
it's
tipped over.
It is all about being within your abilities
And having the right
your-
setup.
and your
Tolerances.
tolerances, right? I mean, it's like driving. It's like hauling a trailer without a weight distribution setup when you should be using
Well,
them.
have you
Okay,
seen
wait,
an
wait.
18-wheeler tipped over in Midwest on big high wind days? Yes, we have. And
Okay, so-
make decisions and choose wisely.
Truck campers have a bad rap on this as well. And so, do truck campers tip over more often than a trailer?
I doubt it.
I would say no.
Are truck
doubt it.
campers more susceptible to tipping over than a trailer?
I just don't. I doubt it.
I don't think so.
I don't have numbers.
So, yeah,
I think
things
this-
tip over, right?
I think
They
the
can.
It happens.
stories are,
Things can
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
I think people already kind of have a mark against them. So when a story or something does come across their news feed or what have you, they equate too much to the story, and they say, "Well, that sure happens really often. I've seen it twice now."
On my phone because Google is
Right,
telling me I
right.
want to see this.
Yeah.
Okay, so people do worry about them tipping over, but if it's short of that, they worry about them being wobbly when you're driving down the road.
Right.
And there is so many ways to stabilize a truck camper.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about that, Cody.
So gear options, right? So there's things that we can do to the truck to make it more stable.
Well, can we start with make sure you have the right truck?
Make sure you have the right truck.
Yeah.
Start with that, and then you can work on firming it up for.
Don't overload
cornering
your
and stuff.
truck.
Yep. Don't overload.
Okay, so back to your
So
equipment stuff.
there's airbags that can be installed on the truck to help support the load. There are products from Torque Lift and other manufacturers that are to help engage your helper overloads that will help that side to side rocking.
I have them on my truck. I have a Lippert brand product on my truck, and then there's also like Sumo springs.
There's all kinds of there's
Lots of
Sumo
them.
springs,
Yeah.
there's Timbren, there's all kinds of different manufacturers for products. So you know most people want to do some investigation or they want to talk to somebody that has a good experience in this and can make good recommendations. Adding a stiffer sway bar to the truck.
Yep.
Roadmaster and Hellwig both make a great product option there to where you get a beefier sway bar that's going to help with that side to side rocking. All of these products can be combined. Some people like all of them. Some people don't like any of them.
Right.
It is all up to you.
And there are shops I know that do a lot of truck campers, and they have different recommendations throughout these shops.
Right.
And none of them, in my estimation, are bad.
Correct.
They are just a different way to do it.
Right.
Yep.
And it's just interesting to see the different ways people can set them up. We tend to go with the more traditional way, which is the tie-down systems, which mount to the frame, and airbags.
Yep.
And that is still our traditional way because we believe it gives you good support and it gives you options.
Adjustability.
Yes, that's the right
Well,
word.
when you're unloaded and not burdened with the camper and the truck bed,
Right.
you gain back the best ride that the truck originally came with from the manufacturer.
We have also had very good luck with Stable Loads, which is another product made.
It's made by Torque Lift,
Torque
and
Lift.
it's to engage your overload springs in the back of the truck, right?
Right. So there are certain setups that we just won't do, but there are also certain trucks and campers that we won't pair together.
Correct.
Because it's not safe or it's not a good situation.
Like a Northern Light on an F-150.
Yeah, don't.
Well, there is a new Northern Light.
Oh, there. She's got a point.
Well,
We haven't seen
There
one
is a new
just yet.
Northern
all
Light
right, find
coming
a
out.
Northern Light 10.2 on an F.
Okay, all right. There is a new Northern Light coming out. And, that leads me to the next topic that I think we should cover. I don't know if it's on this sheet. I have trouble following your directions. I know I may be jumping, but
That never happens,
Put a mark
folks.
by
the,
this one.
The truck camper manufacturers have really stepped it up in the past few years and coming out with not only bigger, more robust versions of truck campers with all kinds of off-grid capabilities, but they have also come up with a whole lot of options for smaller trucks that are pared down.
Right.
So right now, there is a larger range of opportunity in
ever
truck
before.
campers than it's ever been in the past.
Yeah, like that half-ton market is starting to look really fun.
There is a lot of half-ton options. And another thing that's happened in this market is that there are so many more independent builders. And by that, I mean startups that have designed new and different and really just unique stylings in truck campers. That is really exciting to see as well. And I love seeing new people come on the market. They'll have better ideas. They'll help move this entire segment forward.
Yeah.
And that's really fun to see.
Yeah.
So truck campers are such a viable way of RVing and moving around the country and having all kinds of adventures from off-road, off-grid, rugged, primitive
Sure.
trips to the luxury and the washer dryer and the recessed lighting and the windows and the king size
What's
beds.
amazing is so many of these ones that are, quite large and have all the bells and whistles, they can still get to some seriously remote places versus, a really long fifth wheel.
Or even a 20-foot trailer is going to have a lot more problems going out in those areas.
Right.
So the other thing that I think makes truck campers so versatile while we're on this topic is that there are people who want to do a little of everything. Mm-hmm. And I love the fact that you can take a truck camper, even a big one, and you can find a spot at the museum downtown.
You can park in a parking space.
In a parking lot.
To park where you can navigate downtown and park and go to the Smithsonian, go to the Metropolitan Museum in New York.
Sure.
There is a parking space you can go fit in and do those things.
Yeah.
Whereas I'd be scared to death to go into a downtown with a trailer trying to visit some of those places. It's just very tough to do.
Didn't stop you from sending me with a long trailer to set up for Blues on the Green a few years ago.
No, it didn't. It did not stop me.
Shots fired.
But if you recall, I did it as well.
Yeah,
when I was the person to do it, I did it as well.
I like the versatility of being able to tow something additional behind you.
Yeah. What have we seen? Obviously, horse trailers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, boats. Mm-hmm. What else have we seen?
Side by sides.
Everything.
UTVs, dirt bikes. I mean, anything and everything.
Do you remember the ones who came in? One was towing a helicopter on a trailer.
Yeah, I don't
And then
remember.
there's another one who was towing a glider.
Yes.
A glider trailer.
Yeah.
We have done a lot of
chili cook-off trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah, barbecue trailers. We've done rock crawler trailers. We've done wildlife rescue setups, all kinds of different deals for truck campers.
Truck campers made it possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really amazing. Now, one more thing we have to talk about before we wrap this up.
Oh, don't wrap it up. I got like 20 more questions here.
Yeah, well, I think people might be falling over. But what about truck campers put on a gooseneck?
I
mean, that is something
but it was a lot. Yeah.
That had kind of a big push and everybody wanted to do it. I don't see as much of it in the past since COVID.
But you know what happened?
See as much.
A lot of trailer manufacturers who made goosenecks for hauling rock crawlers and things like that, they saw that and they started actually making their trailers with living spaces on the front.
Of course they did.
There is always those do-it-yourselfers, which is probably what we were seeing, I would think.
Right.
But
I think that the do-it-yourselfers were first, or at least leading edge of that. And the trailer manufacturers for that type of trailer were like, oh, we're missing that, or we can just build that in. And, if they do it, it might even be, ultimately cheaper.
Right.
Depending on how old the truck camper is.
Yeah.
So
maybe so.
So you mentioned you could take your truck camper to the Smithsonian or something like that downtown, and downtowns aren't always known for being safe. Just ask Bruce Wayne. But
jeez.
But are truck campers
Gotham Knights
easy to steal?
No.
They're anything but.
Are you kidding?
Well,
I mean, it's kind of like our elephant's easy to steal.
I saw that in one of the Facebook
No.
groups recently. What happens if someone just comes up and steals it off my truck? And everyone in the forum was going, what do you mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever had anybody tell me about a truck camper theft.
No. But I do think people do also worry that if they drop it at their campsite and go somewhere, that somebody could steal their truck camper. And
we've already mentioned these things are intimidating.
yeah, but you would have to know exactly what you're doing, and you would have to have a remote if it's electric jacks that was paired to it, and which means you'd have to break in and then pair your remote to get it to go up and down, or get a manual crank or a power drill. And crank up
is not
each jack.
That's not fast at all.
So there is no gone in 60 seconds here, which is why I think that stealing a truck camper is a real problem.
It is.
Yeah.
But people do worry about that. I mean, if somebody's going to steal your truck camper, they're going to steal the truck and the camper.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I think if you've got it loaded on your truck, that might make it a more viable option to somebody looking to steal it.
Yeah. I mean, that is what's going to happen. So, lock your truck.
Well,
put a low jack on your truck.
Funny you say that here.
Down.
I know, right? So this is a funny conversation that came up at our truck camper rally, talking about theft and things like that.
Uh-huh.
A lot of the new trucks have smart keys or whatever you want to call them, wireless ignition, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you have your key in your camper, you may be close enough that if they just go up and pull the door, it'll unlock and they can get in and start it.
And drive away with you in it.
Wow, that's just like having a chauffeur. It's. I remember taking
where you don't want to go.
I mean, I remember taking the Amtrak when I was younger and just waking up in a new place and thinking it's magical.
That sounds magical.
So what do? Do you take your truck camper key and go hide it behind a tree?
I think if you get far enough to the back of the truck away from the cab, it probably won't pick it up, but using like a Faraday bag
so
would help.
Yeah, RFID.
Yeah.
So Faraday bag, wallet, what have you.
Something that'll block the signal, right? Just something that blocks the signal.
Yep.
It's just crazy.
Technology.
I think
so
I might create a little box or something at the entrance where I could just drop my truck key in it and close it, and it would block the signal.
Yeah.
It's just who thought it. I had never thought of that before. I thought that was hilarious when they brought that up.
When you get to the perfect campsite, what you do is you get out of your vehicle, you find a big rock. You put that key on the rock.
Hide your key under a rock.
You get yourself a mallet. You smash that key, and then you camp in this perfect spot.
That sounds like a real problem.
Yeah. I like Cody or my idea better.
I mean,
okay,
it's more practical.
It is more practical.
Those keys are expensive.
Yeah, they are. Okay, can you camp? This is kind of a newbie question, but it comes up. Can you camp in them on the truck? Can you camp in them off the truck?
Yes.
Like,
no.
is there
Yes.
like, so yeah.
No.
Yes and no.
Okay. Your turn. I'll correct you when we're done.
You can. So some manufacturers actually have stickers on their campers that say camp on them in the truck.
That is true. And I can tell you who they are, but I'm not gonna.
Well.
So there are some, and they are generally the lighter weight, entry level style campers because they don't have the base of it supported.
Oh.
And if you do it for a very long time, it can make the floor sag.
Okay.
Yeah. But those are really entry level campers. I don't know anything besides that that has that in their book.
I would totally agree. No, I totally agree. I'm just saying, if we're covering the question.
Other than those very few entry level options, most manufacturers actually tout the fact that you
of course
should be doing this.
Course.
It's not that you can, but you should. That's the only way to enjoy it to its fullest. Is to
right. That's exactly how they work.
Yeah, do both. Absolutely.
Okay.
And the other thing I would say about that is we do see problems when people leave them way up in the air and camp in them. So the proper way to do a truck camper is to lower it down on the jacks so it's more stable.
Sure. Cody, what kind of truck do you need?
Depends on what kind of camper you want.
Okay, so what factors? You don't have to throw down, perfect matches across the board, but what factors does someone need to know about to smartly shop for a truck camper?
Typically you're going to want to know if you've got a short bed truck, long bed truck, super short bed truck.
My suggestion is, because everybody calls it something different. A short bed truck used to be a short bed truck and then a long bed truck.
Right.
And then when 5.5 beds came out, some major manufacturers started calling the 5.5 a short bed and the 6.5 a standard bed.
Right.
And the 8-foot bed a long bed.
Yep.
And then lately, some are calling it a short bed and an extra short bed. And so...
Sounds like a bunch of marketing stuff to me.
Yeah.
Don't blame me.
So you just need to know whether you have a 5-foot something bed or a 6-foot something bed.
Or an 8-foot.
Or an 8-foot bed.
Or an El Camino.
Or a flatbed.
If you have an El Camino, chances are you have an El Camino at this point in the world. And you also know that
you're really cool.
Super cool. Super cool.
Okay, so the box size.
Yep.
Box length.
Box length.
Do you know that Steve McQueen had an El Camino?
I didn't know that.
There you go.
That wasn't in my research.
There you go. Moving on.
Well, that's fun. Whether you have a 1/2 ton, 3/4 ton, or a 1 ton or up rating.
Okay. Is that enough?
What do you mean?
Is that enough?
Is what enough?
To know that that you have a 1/2 ton? Because there's some weenie 1/2 tons.
Well, okay. So
let him finish. Let him finish.
Okay.
You need to know your options packages on your said truck. Right? Because depending on options will determine payload capacity.
But can't we just say you ought to know your payload? Because that's kind of it.
You should know your payload.
Well.
But how do you determine that? You have to know your options packages. Call your local truck dealer of your brand.
Okay. Sure.
Or it might be in the door, or it might be on a tag in the glove box.
The recent trucks, it'll be in a tag in your door. But not all trucks are recent trucks.
That's right.
So some may be harder to find the payload than others.
Right.
But do your research. If you are looking to get into this brand new, like you don't have a truck, you don't have a camper, all of the truck manufacturers that I'm aware of have really good documentation online that tells you exactly what the payload is, the way it's optioned. And you can get a really good baseline for that, and you can determine your truck and then pick a camper to go with it. Yep. Or pick your camper and then find your truck.
I think if you're really, really steering for this, I like shopping the camper first. That to me
it makes our job so much easier, doesn't it? Because people always. I mean, when was the last time you wanted?
Less.
Yeah. People always say, "Oh man, but I want this." Well, it's close. Yeah. No, it's not close. And after then you put your water in it, you put your stuff in it, and you're overloaded. You're like, "Well, I have airbags."
Airbags don't increase your payload.
No.
But
airbags do give you a lot more carrying capacity technically. However, they don't
change that number.
They don't change the number. They give you the ability to support it.
And one thing is that in some cases you can put enough equipment on there to really give yourself more confidence. You could. I bet Cody could dream up the exact right things to put on my 1/2 ton pickup truck to make it feel way more capable and sure than I should be feeling it. Driving with.
Yes, but there is no such thing as payload confidence. It is payload. Period.
Yeah. I agree.
It is not. It is not the confidence in your payload. It is whether your payload matches.
Well, I have definitely seen some pairings in person and online, we're going, you are way too confident in that setup.
Yes.
You feel very confident in that setup. Stop it.
We get that here too with people saying, no, my truck, this is a big beefy truck. That's another thing with truck campers. People come in and they say, I bought the biggest, baddest truck I could find.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
telling me it only can hold 3,200 pounds. And we're like, yeah, you've got
Because
a
they're
lift
also
on
new to
it. You've got
trucks.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah.
You've got a diesel engine. All of those things add weight.
And
That's
take
right.
away from your capacity.
That's correct.
And when it adds weight, your truck can carry less.
Or they got a truck that's designed for a specific purpose, like the Raptor, the Ford Raptor. That is not designed for a truck camper. Not even a little bit. They look beefy. They have stance to them. They have big old wide tires. What are they made for? Sand dunes.
They're made for
Bouncing over
squishy suspension.
Yeah. So they will, you put a truck camper in that, and your high beams are going to be staring into the stars.
Yeah. I remember when the Tundras came out.
Yeah.
And they were like Motor Trend Truck of the Year for
That's
the
right.
first forever years. And
A lot of people
they
bought
could-
them.
And they could
Yeah.
tow a lot.
Yes.
They couldn't carry anything.
Right.
It was awful. It was awful because everybody bought a Tundra.
Yeah.
And then they would show up and say, all right, I got the big beefy truck now. I want a truck camper. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how about that
So
little pop-up?
is there a truck manufacturer out there right now that's doing stuff like that? That can't carry anything?
There are trucks out there that can't carry anything because truck manufacturers have done the same thing that truck camper manufacturers have done. They have a much bigger span of capability because we have these little phones in our hands, and some people research to the nth degree, and they want one that looks like that, but they don't care if it can do that.
Right.
Right.
So in trying to make the public buy a truck that either is super comfortable or can, they show it carrying lawn equipment and loads of dirt to fix your garden, and it can do all these things, and they show it towing a train engine down the road
But
or
these
something.
are very specific marketing trucks.
But what they can't do is carry enough weight for a truck camper, and people don't equate those things.
There are truck manufacturers who have actual packages for truck campers. Is that right?
Camper packages.
And who has those? Is it
Ford
just Ford?
Ford offers a camper package.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. But I do know that when people are looking, don't be wowed by the looks of it, by the beefiness of it,
Right.
or by what it can
You
tow.
want actual numbers and capabilities.
Yes, and what you want to
that it
ask
looks like
for is payload.
Yeah.
Always just say, what is the payload?
Yeah.
And we've had even truck salesmen say, oh, yeah, no problem. Well,
Ooh, that's a
what you need
disservice.
is a number.
Right.
What you
Yes.
need is an actual
Yes.
number on that specific truck. And then before you buy it, go look at truck
And remember,
campers.
truck salesmen, chances are they're like Cody and me. Truck campers don't really cross their mind. So when they hear it,
They don't
they
even
might
know
have
what
the
truck
wrong
campers are.
image and all that. So
They don't know.
So you got to do your own
Yeah.
research and go in smarter.
And do you know how many insurance companies? That's another topic
Oh,
with truck
gosh.
campers.
Yes.
Insurance companies that don't know what a truck camper is. So they say, oh, well, if it's on your truck, it's covered. Don't worry about it. We'll just put a little rider on here because they think it's a $2,000 item that sticks on the back of your truck that you're not going to take on and off. And then when you're in a wreck and you tell them it's $60,000, you don't get covered.
Yeah.
Or it's sitting in storage and a tree falls on it. Well, it's not on your truck
Right.
and it's not covered.
Wow.
So
Yep.
real problem with truck camper coverage. So that is something to think about as well when you're looking at a truck camper. You need to be sure that it is fully covered separately, just like it would be with your truck. So a little aside that I thought about when we're talking
Another
about
thing to do research on.
Yes.
the research and the cost of this. Now, it shouldn't be that expensive, but you do need to cover it separately. And if you get stuck there, call a truck camper dealer, just Google somebody, give them a call. They probably will have some recommendations for you, like we do.
Okay. Do truck campers hold their value?
I think they do. Yeah, I think they hold their value better than trailers for sure.
I think it depends on the truck camper. But for medium and high-end truck campers, because it is a limited quantity, when people are looking, the used ones that are in good shape are always really valued.
Right. That's what I've seen too. But
yes, really valued.
But you two have seen much more than I have.
When you get to an entry-level truck camper, 5 years down the road, they are not going to hold their value as well. But that is going to equate very closely to the same thing in an entry-level trailer.
Right.
That 5 years down the road, unless it is extremely well kept, it's going to lose a fair amount of value because it's not the highest quality. So I would say truck campers hold their value better than trailers if you buy a quality or medium range truck camper and you take care of it.
Okay. Who would choose a truck camper with all the options out there?
Who would?
Yeah. If you had someone in your mind.
Like our truck camper rally, if we looked around at all the people who have truck campers.
Right. What's that personality? What's that person's kind of interest? If we were going to draw up a picture, maybe a couple pictures, because obviously there's different types of truck campers and different types of people, but what are some commonalities?
Gosh, we used to be able to very easily put that in a segment, and it would be a older couple, maybe 50s or more, who wanted to travel around, who probably weren't extremely sophisticated and just wanted something easy.
Right.
Okay.
And
I think that is where it was when I started.
Okay.
And I think that has completely turned on its head.
Yes.
Judging by who we see at our truck camper rallies, I agree. Yeah.
Yes. And judging by the people, I mean,
we're talking about some tech savvy people, some of them, like
oh
engineers.
My goodness.
These things are tech savvy these days.
They are.
Yeah. That's probably much tougher than loading a truck camper.
But they're also
working all the gear if you get a high end.
If you listen to when we do our various rallies and all, if we listen to what the truck camper people say when you get into the destination roundtable, where they're all throwing out ideas of places, the best places they've been to some of the most remote, most off-road, off-grid, BLM land, national, whatever, forest and all that. Canada, Alaska.
Alaska is a big one, it seems like.
The more rugged, more distant places, and they seem to go out longer.
Well, if you get to a destination like Alaska, there is a huge number of truck campers up there because they're versatile. They don't get stuck. They can handle the rugged terrain, and you can go places in a truck camper that would be very scary with a trailer.
Yes.
So it just makes perfect sense. So the Northwest is one of the places where truck campers are very prevalent for that reason. You will also see them in places that are more rural, not because it's your grandpa's truck camper, but because they're more versatile.
Yeah.
In rocky areas and desert areas, they're much easier to tow around. They aren't the type of people
you don't tow them around. You carry them around. Haul them around.
That's true. To haul around. They also are for people who don't need necessarily a large living room with, a
40
big
foot of
screen
space.
TV. Yeah. So, there are some very nice ones that have all the amenities, including the recliner with the TV.
Right.
However, they want to be versatile.
Sure.
And, that was Lance's catchphrase for the longest time, the most versatile RV on the planet.
Yep. And it still would be a great catchphrase.
Yeah.
Really.
That's so true. So true.
Why don't we see more of them? Why are they still such an anomaly out there on the roads?
That's a $1 million question. I
got
think.
5.
Yeah.
5 million or $5?
Dollars.
Or 5 questions or 5 reasons.
I got
don't
5
know.
pennies.
So, it is an unknown.
Yeah.
It seems scarier. It does take more money to set up for a truck camper than it does a trailer.
Sometimes it's the camper and the vehicle.
I don't know. Have you priced out a fifth wheel hitch these days?
It can be more expensive. But if you're looking for simply a space to put your family or a space to camp in, there is a whole lot more trailers out there than there are truck campers. So it's easy to just go grab a trailer and go. Yeah. Well, it feels less intimidating.
That might be the other reason is that camping a lot of the time is generally thought as a family event. And as we spoke earlier about, truck campers don't fit a lot of families if they've got more than, say, 4 to 6 people.
Right.
Could be why we don't see as many.
Well, they're not blanketing the RV dealers' lots either.
Well, that was my next question.
So that is part of the reason people can't learn about them in shop, because they are a bit more problematic for dealers to have on their lot. And there is more to know about truck campers. Right. Okay. I can't hire a salesman off the street and throw him into selling truck campers, because you have to know what truck camper fits what truck.
Right.
So there is more fitting, there's more matching that has to be done here.
Right.
And then the dealer has to know how to equip it, and then it has to be moved around the lot.
Right.
So it's just a more
maybe just not as easy
problematic unit to sell.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's right. It takes, and if I put a truck camper on my lot that, say, weighs 3,500 pounds, it is probably only going to fit the 3/4 tons that come on the lot. And it's only going to fit a 6.5 foot bed. And so you keep narrowing the pool of people smaller and smaller. And then I have to have somebody to sell it that knows that's exactly what it fits.
Right.
Whereas I can put somebody out there that, that just has a list of weights, and man, if it's in that weight thing, you're good to go. Take it, run.
It sounds like
you're ready to go.
It's a more sophisticated sell in some ways. It takes more work, maybe a little bit more hassle to learn and to sell and to set up and to support. And most dealerships don't go there, so fewer people see it as an option.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, I think that is exactly what has happened. And, that's okay. Maybe it's not for everybody. It does take a little more thinking, a little more working. But I can tell you that truck campers offer so much more as far as places you can go, things you can see, and adventures you can have.
Right.
And that is the beauty of the truck camper. And, that's why at our truck camper rally a few weeks ago that we do every year, I am always reinvigorated by the people and the adventures they have had. Yeah. It makes all of the things that we have to do to carry truck campers here worth it. Yeah. Because it is a cool part of the RV business.
Yeah.
I love unloading them when they come in.
On a forklift?
We literally forklift them off a flatbed truck when they get here.
Yeah, only in the highest winds.
Yes. And,
in a parking lot that is just washed out. And
that's not entirely true, but nothing makes you feel good about lifting $100,000 in the air with a forklift. I have to tell you.
Well, you know what? That's part of the adventure of truck campers, right? That
is an adventure.
But yeah, it has been a great part of our adventure here at Princess Craft. And I am always thankful to the truck camper community for supporting us and getting us off the ground in the early years, because that is the heart. And I want to thank you for agreeing to do this podcast about truck campers, because I suggested it after our truck camper rally, because honestly, I just love those guys. Mm-hmm. We have families, we have retired folks, we have young folks that are starting out, we have adventurous people, you meet everybody at a truck camper rally. And
bird watchers.
It is just so fun. Yeah. I love those guys. I love every one of them.
Well, we have come to, it looks to me, we're rounding out on like an hour and 20 minutes.
That's crazy.
So this has
that's something.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's been a really good discussion. I would like to invite our listeners, if you have enjoyed this, if you want more of this type of content, please go ahead and subscribe on any podcast app that you're listening on. But if you could leave us a review, that would really help us as well. Any app will do, but really the one that for some reason works the algorithm the best is Apple Podcasts, which you can go on a computer in a browser, look up our podcast on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. You don't have to sign up for anything. It does help us. If you like this episode, you want to read about it, maybe catch some photos, videos, and all that, we do share the show notes. So go to rvsmalltalk.com. And if you want to see a video of us doing this podcast, we're on YouTube. Just look up RV Small Talk Podcast on YouTube. We are there, and you can see our pretty faces talk about truck campers right there.
And if you want to know more about truck campers, I want to give a plug to Truck Camper Magazine.
Oh, good.
Our friends Gordon and Angela do a fabulous job of bringing the latest news and keeping people informed. I really appreciate what they have done for the truck camping community over these years. It's really incredible. And if you know nothing, they have a newbies section. It is their most popular section on their magazine, and it's free. Don't worry about that. Doesn't cost you a dime. You don't have to sign up for anything. It is all just out there on the interwebs for your viewing and your learning pleasure. So check it out at truckcampermagazine.com.
And that's a wrap, Cody. Thank you for filling in for Lindsay today.
Sorry, I'm not as much fun.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We'll have to deal with it.
I thought you were tons of fun.
We'll overcome ourselves. So, everybody, thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Bye.